Heartstopper is based on graphic novels, which means almost every moment is scripted, especially for book lovers, to relive some of the great scenes from the books. But there were so many other unscripted moments as well, where the actors had liberties to improvise on set, and they are some of the best Heartstopper scenes you've seen in the show. The cast of Heartstopper are besties now after spending lots of time working together on set. And with that, their friendship group gets to improvise and generate interesting chatters that aren't even included in the script or graphic novels. However, sometimes the unscripted moment could be a mistake but was still kept in the show anyway. And you won't believe that Charlie's dad mentioned Joe slightly instead of Charlie while dropping Charlie at the cinema in season 1.
Charlie. Yeah?
This scene happened so fast that many must have missed it, because it also sounds a bit like Charlie, as the show tried to dub over the mistake to make viewers not notice this unscripted moment. However, it's not surprising because this happened earlier while filming the show, which means the cast was probably still having a little mix-up with the names of the cast and their characters. And since Charlie's real name is Joe Locke, it's obvious the mix-up wasn't intended but a slip-up. Usually scenes like that get reshot while on the set, but the acting must have felt so real that they almost missed it until post-production. And they decided to leave this unscripted moment in the show by adjusting the speech to reflect Charlie instead of Joe. However, that won't be the first time that Heartstopper will dub over the original words that were said on set. While filming season 3, the cast, especially Kit, Connor, and Joe, were already so used to each other that they took creative liberties to speak random but insane words on set. In a scene in the Christmas episode, Kit and Joe were improvising their conversation, and because they thought the dialogue wouldn't be included as they'd already assumed that music would be cut over the conversation, they started saying the most steamy and wild words, like making jokes about spicy act toys. Strangely enough, the scene was kept, but this unscripted dialogue can be easily missed, except when you read the actor's lips.
Great. That's the deal.
It's funny that they had to make Kit do an ADR automated dialogue replacement to mean he was saying, "That's the deal though," instead of the word he used. Another great thing about that scene, and one of the reasons it was included, is that the characters had the most genuine and cheekiest laughs, as they weren't just acting, but happy to be in the moment. Heartstopper 3 may have leaned a bit towards mental health and sensitive subject areas, but amid all the struggles, they still had quite a bit of fun. In one of the greatest moments, Charlie asked that they indulge in even more romantic activities than they were used to, allowing the cast to have an improvised reaction while having the conversation.
I've been thinking about something. What's that? You and me. We could do things.
The interaction was so genuine that it took them a minute to return to the scripted part of the scene when Charlie dropped the big word they'd both been thinking about. The unscripted moment only gets even better in Heartstopper, as this scene is another mind-blowing moment that will send you laughing heartily.
She won't confirm whether they're dating or not.
Meow, meow, meow.
It's so wild because they didn't even think about doing that, but when it started, they all played along, and it came out so beautifully that it had to be included in the final cut. Although it was obvious that the object Michael got for Charlie inspired the sound, it also shows that they are such good actors that they know how to say or act the most exciting thing at the right time. Elle didn't have to look at them to join in the hilarious sound, and it made it even more realistic because it shows they've spent quite a lot of time together as friends to have the same energy around jokes, which an outsider can never mimic. Interestingly, while there is a goofy side to the improvisations they do on set, there's also a loving and cozy one that's unscripted. In this scene from the last episode of season 2, where all the characters were playing together and getting involved in all sorts of unique activities right after they left the prom, Nick and Charlie still found the precious moment for each other to dance separately from the rest of the crew. It was them against the world at that moment, and it's so beautiful because it shows Kit and Joe are so intentional and very much into the acting experience that it barely feels like work. The great thing about Heartstopper being based on books is that the cast creates iconic moments from the novel that fans want to see play out, and you won't believe that the shower scenes fall had a bit of improvisation.
Wait.
Even though it was written in that scene that Nick falls over after Charlie tells him I love you in the shower, Kit did fall over doing that scene. The first ever fall while filming happened for real, and he also did a pretend fall in another take. But the natural fall in the shower ended up being used in the final cut because it was so realistic. Funnily enough, Kit loved that his actual fall was included in the show, but he was glad another interesting unscripted moment of him on set was left out. The actor revealed he farted while shooting one of their spicy scenes, and he's hoping the footage doesn't get out, but he doesn't mind because it was funny and shows how comfortable they all are on set. In season 2, when they were preparing for prom and Charlie was stapling with Nick beside him, they had a little more fun filming that scene in which they broke character and improvised the scene.
That wasn't funny.
Nick pretended that Charlie had gotten him, and Charlie was so shocked that he might have hurt him. When he realized Nick was just messing around, he couldn't help but laugh as well. And this exciting exchange between them wasn't included in the script at all, and the writer, Alice Oseman, confirmed this as well. Tao and Elle have always had tremendous and lovely moments in the show, but they've had funny scenes together as well, and some of them are unscripted, especially the scene where they are in the Louvre Museum in Paris. The first time Tao exclaimed loudly and Elle couldn't control her laughter was just them being themselves and immersing themselves in the experience, which gave them the liberty to play around. And the reaction in this scene was so genuine that it had to be included in the show. Tao had a lot of fun filming on the Heartstopper set, and he couldn't help but bring out this goofy side of him. The most memorable thing about Tao's funny walk is that it wasn't included in the script, but they decided to keep it in the show anyway. Also, the funny reactions from everyone present were genuine because they were meant only to walk and were surprised to see Tao pull off the crazy stunt. The trip to Paris in season 2 wasn't just about filming in a new location for the cast, but also a vacation experience for them to enjoy being in the city of love. They explored that excellently because in another scene from their Paris trip where Nick lifted Charlie as they were moving, it was a bit scripted but also improvised because Nick acted impulsively. What makes the scene even more beautiful is that it's right in the comics, but Alice revealed that they wrote down the scene without giving much detail on what the cast should do. However, Kit and Joe decided to assert themselves in the moment, to bring even more out of the moment for the fans of the comics. And it was such an effortless process that matched perfectly with the picture they were going for. Amidst the struggles in season 3, when Charlie had a hard time opening up to even Nick, and Nick had no idea how to help except to be present and show his support, they got into a brief but intense argument where Charlie lashed out at Nick, who was also stressed out.
I said I can't. You're making me feel like shit. If you're gonna sit there and make me feel insane, just fuck off.
And despite it being so honest and sad, the actors improvised everything from the actions to the reactions, which is impressive as it shows that they are very talented and can go from being funny 1 second to being angry and sad the next. Talking about being funny and cute, Charlie and Nick had another sweet moment when they watched TV together and Charlie went for Nick's hair.
Oh, just let me win, Charlie! Yes! Can't do this anymore. I'm sorry.
That was uncalled for.
The ruffling of the hair wasn't really improvised, but Kit's surprise at the sudden action was beautiful and matched exactly what their characters would do. And the crew knew they had to keep this genuine reaction in the show as it was an adorable and exciting moment. Interestingly, Joe knew it would happen even though it wasn't in the script, as he was hinted to ruffle the hair without letting Kit know in advance so they could get his genuine reaction. So the real improvisation in this scene was Nick's surprise. Another great unscripted moment from Paris was when Nick and Charlie stayed up all night to talk, and Nick giggled. This is the actor just doing his own natural thing, which was improvised but real. Laughing out so heartily wasn't really part of what they had to do on that set, but they both were so happy in that scene that it reflected on their characters, which they couldn't help but keep in the show, from showing immense support for each other and still finding the time to hang out for games and other recreational activities, the friendship group of the Heartstopper gang is one of the most beautiful ever to grace television. While they spoke about many critical scripted topics, like when Isaac had to talk about being Arrow Ace, they also had a lot of banter and chatter in the series. Many of those words they say when they aren't discussing sensitive issues are just the cast speaking random things that aren't included in the script. And in the end, most of these chatters make it into the show, which helps to make the friendship group even more special.